Hey everybody, after a little more than 14 months, I put 20,000 miles on my 2024 Ford Ranger Raptor. And I wanted to go over a couple things. I've already talked about how much I love this truck and all that, but I want to give you kind of a broad picture of what I've done with my truck. So for the first 10,000 miles, it was stock. I didn't have the tune on it. And then at 10,000 miles, I had them put the Ford Performance tune on it. For the 20,000 miles, half of it without, half with, I've driven it pretty hard the entire time. And it has done flawlessly. I have had zero mechanical or maintenance issues with my truck. I've changed the oil on time. I did the transfer case and the differentials way ahead of time. I went through and did some preventative maintenance, but I have had zero problems with this truck. It has been flawless the entire time. I absolutely love it. So what I wanted to go through today is mainly the big things that I have done to make it better, in my opinion, and things that I think everybody should look into when they get their truck. And then a couple things that are personal taste that people should think about or not think about. And then some performance options. So the first thing I think everybody should at least look into is an oil catch can to replace your positive crankcase ventilation system that just puts the blow-by right back into the intake, putting some oil and fuel through the entire intake, through the turbo impellers, through the intercooler and back into the intake. An oil catch can replaces that PCV that goes direct back into the intake and puts it through an oil air separator, and then you can dump that out every time you do an oil change. So that's a good thing to look into. I got the UPR single valve, but look into it. I did a video on it as well. The next thing is the Ronin oil drain plug replacement. So the drain plug that comes in this thing is about 3/4 of an inch around, and when you open it, the oil comes out with a vengeance. It will make a mess no matter how ready you are, it seems. And then it also drips all over one of the cross members of the frame and all over a wiring harness. So you can get around that with a Forma funnel or some plastic, but every time I change my oil, I forgot about that and I made the same mess, and it pisses me off every time. So I've got the Ronin drain plug on there. It's awesome. Look it up. It's like 65 bucks, but totally worth it. The next thing that I did, and this is a personal thing, but the auto start stop eliminator. I know it's an EPA thing. It's more to keep CO2 or carbon monoxide, whatever, some sort of emissions down. But really, to me, it's too hard on the starter and the battery to constantly be starting and stopping. I know it's engineered that way. It's just not something I wanted to do. And I didn't have it in my normal startup checklist to start the truck and turn that off, or start the truck and always go into my Raptor mode. A lot of times I'm just going to my kid's school or the grocery store and I forget it. And as soon as I get to the first stop sign, it turns off, and it drove me nuts. So I put that thing on there. I got the one from 4D Tech, and it has been probably one of the best things I did in my truck. I did it within the first 2 weeks of having it, installed it. It's been over a year. I haven't thought about it since. At no point has it failed. At no point has the auto start stop turned itself back on. It has been off since I installed that thing. So it's really good. Just a note on that is the North American versions are different than the rest of the world. So I know in Australia, their auto start stop eliminator is different than the one we have in the US. So just know what you're ordering depending on where you are. The next thing that I did, and this is more of a not mechanical or a maintenance item, but the mud flaps. For me, I was getting a lot of rocks flying up. There's a hole in your running board here where rocks can actually fly through and hit the sides of your truck. I put the rock blocks on there. You can also get the Ford versions. But to me, mud flaps are a big thing on this, especially since I upgraded the wheels and they poke out a little bit more, about an inch more. I just didn't want to be that guy getting off a trail, ending up on the freeway and flinging rocks at the cars behind me. So I think mud flaps, they don't look bad. These things can take an absolute beating. I've come down hard on rocks and it just squishes these things and they stay in place. It hasn't popped a single rivet or anything. So they're really good. And then the last thing that I think you should be aware of is if you buy a used Ford Ranger Raptor that has a build date before 12 September 2024, make sure that the load box reinforcement brackets have been installed on your truck. So if you're not aware of it, the bed of the truck is fully capable of having the max weight inside of it, but when you start putting stuff on bed racks or tonneau covers like this, and you put weight up on the bed rails, it's not reinforced enough at the front, and all that dynamic weight, if you're off-roading, could actually bend the entire bed. So they sell these brackets, they're 170 bucks, I think, and then you gotta install them. I did a video on that, or you can pay the Ford dealership to do it. I think they charge 160 bucks or 170 bucks to install it, and that gives it the rigidity, and then you can put a bunch of weight on the back of your truck, on the bed rails themselves. After 12 September 2024, that was included from Ford. if you buy a Ford bed topper or something like that, they will throw it in and install it for you. But if you put your own aftermarket, it's completely on you. So now I want to get into the personal choices of things that you do, comfort levels. For me, the Ford Performance Tune was an absolute no-brainer. It comes with a little bit of a warranty through Ford Performance. It does a great job tuning the transmission to take out some of that jerkiness. And then the added power, 50 more horsepower and 106 more foot-pounds of torque, is absolutely noticeable. It does take a couple hundred miles for it to fully integrate and give you all that power, but you will notice the transmission and a little bit of power right away. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, you will notice that you have a completely different truck. It's amazing. The next thing, that again, some people are really happy with the stereo system. I was really underwhelmed by the subwoofer for the main part. So the subwoofer is like a 5-inch speaker inside of a ported enclosure, and it's a little bit underpowered for me. So I just went and bought a Kicker Hideway Add-A-Sub, Kicker Hideway Add-A-Sub. I did the 8-inch. The 10-inch is almost the exact same enclosure, and it fits behind the back seat in place of the B&O subwoofer almost perfectly. It gets held in really well by the jack stand and the back seat going up, so you don't have to mount it or anything. All you got to do is run a power wire, and then you take the signal wires from the old sub, and it's all hooked up. To me, that made a huge difference. And then the next really big thing for sound quality and comfort inside the truck is sound deadener in the doors and the roof. I also did the back wall, but I really think that didn't do nearly as much as the roof and the door panels. The roof's a little harder, you gotta take the headliner down, but to me it was totally worth it and it made a huge difference. So this gets into the looks of the vehicle. Obviously, nothing else that I'm gonna talk about makes it more functional, but to me it makes it your own truck. It makes it individual to you. So the first thing I did when I got this is I added the 4 marker lights up in the front. The Raptor series generally has 3, I get that, but when I first got this truck, they didn't have a good option for the 3, so I went with the 4 from Indy Carbon, and I really like the way they look. I also did the Signature Lux amber daytime running lights. So be aware when you're ordering equipment for this truck in North America from other countries, there's a lot of differences here and there. Example was the Auto Start Stop Eliminator. One of the companies I have had a lot of really good luck with so far is Signature Lux, because they actually test all of their stuff with a couple different people here in the United States before they actually ship it out to the masses. And they're one of the only ones that have had this truck for 4 or 5 years and are trying to cater to us instead of just sending us whatever they want and hoping it works. They actually go through the paces to test it and stuff like that. So to me, it was good to get them. I'm really happy I did it. It was a lot of work, but again, I have a video on that as well. And then I did some other off-road lights. I put some ditch lights and a light up on the top and one behind the grill, but those are all just for when I go off-roading, and I personally think they look good. The next thing I did was put some different wheels on it. These are the exact same size wheels, but they have a different offset. So the wheels that come on your truck are plus 55, meaning the offset of where the wheel meets up with the hub is 55 millimeters outside of the center line, so it puts the wheel back in. I got these plus 35 Method 703s, and that actually pushes the wheel out 20 millimeters, which is almost an inch. So it comes out a little bit. It lines up perfectly now with the wheel wells, and it lines up perfectly with the mud flaps. Any more and it would be outside the mud flaps. I really like the way they look. I like that it's black. I had the beadlock capable, which I liked as well, but I wanted them to come out a little bit more, and I got a good deal on Facebook. That's why I went with these. The next thing I did for my personal truck, because this is my daily driver. I drive this to work every day, but then on the weekends, I go out and take my daughters out into the woods. We go shoot BB guns, we go camping and stuff like that. So I added a Front Runner Slim Sport roof rack, and I also have a Yakima Outpost bed rack, and then I have a tent that I can put on here. I have an off-road trailer for longer trips. I just like to be able to take all my gear with me. Weight is not the issue for me. I know for a lot of people, you get this awesome Desert Runner fast truck and you don't want to add a whole bunch of weight. But for me, adding this made it more capable for what I wanted to do. So again, that's a personal one. And then that's it for the upgrades. I mean, I've done a lot of other stuff here and there, but those are the big ones that I've done that I think really make this truck mine versus everybody else has their own builds. I mean, there's guys on Ranger 6G that are putting portals on it, putting mid-travel suspension, and just making this thing an absolute monster. In Australia, they're putting Coyote engines with the 10R80 transmission instead of the 10R60 that we already have. I mean, to me, I would love to be able to do that stuff, but this drivetrain is so good the way it is. Until I blow it up, I'm keeping it as is. After 20,000 miles and a little over a year, I still absolutely love this truck. Like I said at the beginning, I've had zero issues with it. It's been an absolute blast. I've done stuff in this truck that I didn't do in my Rubicon, that I didn't do in my Tacoma. The whole drivetrain makes it so easy to control everything. I mean, the differentials are really easy to lock out just with the touchscreen. You don't have to, you gotta be at a stop and then you gotta be in neutral to go into 4 low. But other than that, I've had old vehicles where you have to be turning the wheel, you have to be on flat ground. I have gone into 4 low and locked out the differential when I was on some, not really steep stuff, but something where if I let off the brake, it definitely would have started sliding back down. And I definitely was losing traction in 4 high, so switching was great. But anyway, I really like this truck. I have zero regrets about it. If you're on the fence, I will say the ZR2 and the ZR2 Bison and the AT4X are phenomenal trucks as well. But the thing that drew me to this was the drivetrain. I think the suspension in those is great. I think the underbody protection on those is better than this. And I mean, the rock crawling capability of those might be a little bit better. But as an all-around truck and the looks personally, I think the Ranger Raptor takes the cake on that one. But that's a personal choice. I also think that the decals look pretty good, and I know a lot of people take them off, and I get it both ways on that one. So anyway, I'm going longer than I wanted to. 20,000 miles. This thing is still amazing. I haven't been looking at what's next. Normally when I have a vehicle for more than 6 or 8 months, I'm already looking, hey, what else is out there? What else is better? What's the next version of this? With this one, the only thing, and I've said this in a previous video, the only thing that would make me trade this truck in is if they came out with a Ranger Raptor R that either had the 3.5 from the Big Brother Ranger, or from the Big Brother Raptor, or if in some amazing, you know, parallel universe, they shoehorn a 5.2 supercharged Coyote motor in here with the 10R80 and just make this thing an absolute beast. But I don't think that will ever happen. That is always going to be an aftermarket option. Kind of like the Gladiator. There are people putting Hellcat and Elephant motors in that thing, but that's all aftermarket. Jeep is never going to do that for them. I very much doubt that Ford will ever put a V8 in a Ranger. I don't know that they ever did, actually. I know they had the 4-liter, but that was a 6-cylinder back in the 90s and stuff. But anyway, that's the video. Ranger Raptor is still an awesome truck. It is still going strong. It still gets horrible gas mileage. I only get 14.5. I know a while ago I posted a video about the ticking that I thought, hey, is this cam phasers? That was definitely just valve train ticking before the oil made it up through the pump through the galleries into the valve heads. And it was just the standard ticking. Every motor does that. This thing is not a cam phaser problem. Honestly, I'm wondering if that cam phaser thing is more of a, it happened on the 3.5s, people heard some noises, and then they just started doing warranty work on it without proving that's what it was. I can't say for sure. I have not talked to anybody in person yet with a 3.0 that had that cam phaser issue. I had the Ford Explorer ST, and that was not really a thing that I knew of back in that vehicle, but the 3.5s have always had that problem. Anyway, that's the video for today. Just wanted to go over that. I didn't want to put you through 41 minutes of me talking about all these random things. So hopefully this was helpful to you. If you're on the fence about this truck, you will not regret it. I would say, and a lot of people say this is kind of cliche, but the thing you would regret is not getting it earlier. I mean, I really see myself as the 65-year-old grandpa that still has the 2024 Ranger Raptor, and I'm the original owner. I mean, I love this thing that much that even if I do get another vehicle, this will probably stay in my garage and just become like my dad's 67 Corvette to him will be the Ranger Raptor from 2024 to me. Okay guys, I think I've gone way further than I wanted to, but I really enjoy just talking about this stuff, and hopefully you guys do too. Cheers.
It's over!